welcome to In the Field with Bill. Not in the field at all today, but gonna hopefully present something that you can find educational and useful, because it can get really messy when you start asking yourself the question, what equipment do I need to go camping, and how should I go about camping, and all these other things that if you're someone who hasn't ever gone camping before, this video will help you. I just think no one really goes on YouTube. Maybe they do. Maybe you'll come across this and you'll find this very useful. As those who have been going camping, hopefully you can find this useful as well. Some of the tips and hints and stuff that I've got out of my own experience, you can find useful. So let's get into it. One thing is really obvious to me has been the sleeping bags. You buy sleeping bags and they soon become sort of out of shape when you wash them. If this is just me, then so be it. But like, I think this is very common for a lot of people. They try washing their sleeping bags and it gets out of shape. You end up buying a new sleeping bag, right? And some sleeping bags, they are very expensive, right? I'm talking 200, 300, right up to like 500, some sleeping bags. So to get around this, my first tip is don't buy expensive sleeping bags. They are exploiting the fact that people are just too lazy to build their own stuff today. Yeah, so expensive sleeping bags, the way you can get get yourself a decent sleeping bag is actually buying a cheap sleeping bag and a sleeping duvet, a cheap one, a blanket or a throwover, and combining those two cheap items, making something that you would otherwise be paying 200, 300 for. Okay, tip number 2. Look out for equipment that can last you a long time. One example is military boots. I've got a pair of military boots there. They've lasted me, I think, 5 years now, since I bought them, basically. And it might have been longer than that. Okay, fair enough. I haven't been using them every day. But look out for items that, if you think about an item that you buy once a year, it might be like underwear, tops, and trainers are one of those things that I find I'm having to buy trainers every year, like because they fall apart. You use them every day, they fall apart. Right? Boots are different. You get yourself a decent pair of boots, especially military grade boots. They do last. Getting yourself into a surplus shop, you're gonna find decent equipment that's gonna last you for decades if you look after it properly. Tip number 3: repair your equipment. I just can't believe the stuff that gets thrown away because people think it's just a few threads that has come loose, and they moan about it, and it's like, hold on, man, it's just a bit of sewing. Like, sewing is so, you think how cheap it is to buy yourself a bit of string, a needle, and 5 minutes of sewing, you completely repaired so many items. When it comes down to boots, I have managed to double the lifespan of these boots that I've got. Like, the heels do go, the heels rub away. You end up, your socks and skin just come face to face with the hard stuff. And there is stuff that you can buy. There's some brilliant equipment today where there's this gel pad. You place it as like a synthetic gel pad thing. You buy them out of the pound store. I bought a few and I was like, yeah, let me grab some of them before they become like 5-10 quid. They were very cheap. Brilliant. You've just doubled the lifespan of your boots, right? Or trainers, or whatever your equipment that you're using. Little ideas like that. Repair your equipment, make them last, double the lifespan that you've paid for, right? The 4th tip I've got here is a little bit hypocritical of me, okay? But it's to stop buying junk. There is so much stuff that I've got now, and I know I probably will never use it. I'll have to sell it, and it's like that. This is the tip that I've got for so many features that, I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. This here is just a bottle holder. but it's not really. What I've done is basically, if I can show you, is it's just a part of the normal design of the rucksack. Okay, I've just managed to find something to shove it in, and it holds it. Okay. Another thing is this is my wash-up bottle. And instead of buying yourself like stuff that's just one-time use that you see people using in camping trips, that is like hand wipes and stuff. If I show you this, it's a little adjustment here that I haven't thrown away. I've just shoved it onto this bottle. Can be used to clean your hands. So it's really ideal because when you undo this and you try and wash your hands this way, you lose a lot of water doing it like that. It's a tip that I'm sharing. I realise it ties in with some other tips that I want to share with preppers. Like if you're someone who is a prepper, okay, you're like, you know, buying loads of stuff just in case there's like a disaster in the world, right? And you're there with like all this stuff, and you're thinking, yeah, I've done well to prepare for myself. Yeah, like one of the real massive tips I've got for anyone that comes across this channel listening to this is look at what you're really buying. Okay, okay, great. You're buying stuff that's useful, but how many years is going to be useful for? For example, you can buy these lights battery stuff that's going to last a few years. Eventually, it's going to run out. And what I'm really getting at, the tip I've got for preppers is don't buy junk. Buy stuff that is going to be like useful for you in the real long term, in like for decades. And basically, I'm trying to say like use your money to buy primitive tools that you can use to design the real stuff that would make you clothing, spindles and primitive tools, that would help you be able to start creating farms. So yeah, get yourself seeds, get yourself stock up on some food that can last years. But if you've got the fear this event's going to happen, and you've got fears that you're going to get stolen, so you're buying yourself all that sort of weapons and stuff, your law of attraction is going to bring you events that are going to trigger that fear until you no longer got the fear of people stealing your stuff. It just upsets me when I see so many people like the main thing they love giving advice about is like getting yourself all this defensive equipment. No, you just like the intention behind that is actually like, think about it. You got the fear that you're gonna have people attack you, and that's just gonna attract to you what you got inside through the law of attraction. You're gonna attract events that trigger those feelings. So that's the tip. Like try and avoid defensive equipment. You don't need it. The only defensive equipment I would say you need would be to survive maybe extreme weather conditions, if you believe that's the sort of thing that's going to be happening. And I'm talking about like large sort of sheets of metal, or get you ready to build yourself something like a bunker. And my next tip here is to stop carrying junk. I cannot stress enough how many times I've seen like just stuff that I see people carrying, and like I've only not been on many camping trips, but the camping trips I've been on, there's been times I've ended up having to help someone carry their equipment because they are overloaded with all sorts of stuff that is just nonsense to carry. Probably one third of the stuff that you carry generally might not even be necessary. And I find that I've really had a great time going camping because my rucksack has been so light. Like I'm talking about 12 kilograms light on my back. And it's such an achievement, it's such a joy to have that sort of spare energy versus having a rucksack that's 18 kilograms. And I'm telling you, it makes a difference. You might be really healthy and fit, but you're doing backpacking, camping, and the difference will catch up with you eventually. Yeah, next tip is to look after your kit. I know that sounds pretty obvious, but if you're not experienced enough to realize when you come back from camping that you need to kind of let everything dry and get it all cleaned, you can run into problems with like damage to your kit. Like, can you imagine buying a really expensive tent? You leave it to mold, and then you've got a moldy tent that you can't really use, and it's damaged the whole actual fabric of it, so you can't even use it out. This is what I mean. Like, I've just hanged the Coleman Cobra 2 tent up on this door. It's got some wet stuff here, and that's basically gonna dry now. Yeah, I'm doing the same with the poncho that I'm using. And cleaning the boots, obviously, because all the mud does start rusting anything that's metal, and that's what I want to say. Like even the tent pegs, just a little bit of mud that gets on there, it begins to rust it, and that's why I think titanium metal is so like valuable at the moment, because I don't think it does that. But trust me when I say looking after your kit is really worth. It'll make it last a lot longer. Tip number 7: buying the right clothing. I've got some clothing just going to showcase in a minute, and just to go through what thoughts I had with when I bought it, and how useful it really is to me when I go camping. So I got here some welding trousers. It's really over the top with the amount of pockets, which is partly why I bought it. Welding trousers are extremely durable, as they must obviously need to be to prevent molten lava going into your skin. This here I want to showcase as well. These belts are extremely useful just to clip together and quick release. The second item is the vest. This is a fisherman's vest. Again, overkill with all the pockets, but it is why I chose it, and it is kind of a bit too big for me, but yep, it's another item. It is really, really thin, so you won't like sort of be too puffed out. But if you feel these pockets, yeah, then you're looking at it can actually get quite overweight quite easily if you're feeling all these pockets like I have here. Moving on to a military fleece that you'd likely find in your surplus shops. Again, yeah, the pockets. You know, all these pockets, even like on your arms, even down here, I find really useful. And I've really leaned into that category of why I've chosen this specific fleece. And the last thing I want to show is this coat that is an IMAX. I have no idea what exactly it is, but I do know it's a part of a full set. It's actually for fishermen, really waterproof and durable. Very nice inner layer of warm coat, and again, plenty of pockets. And this is why I really love this, because it's got this really long neck, turtleneck, and you can clip on, use that, and even reinforce this turtleneck layer to really protect your lips getting chaffed during really windy weather. Yeah, so getting the right sort of clothing is obviously really important, and what I find you like sort of really useful is following principles, not following specific items, because no one knows who you are. No one really knows what your circumstances are, where you are in the world, and what really is your needs with regards to clothing. It might be a complete opposite. Like if you're in a jungle, you're gonna want something that's completely opposite of all of that stuff I just got there. So the principles, like there's some principles you can just follow, which are like quite what's going to protect me, what's going to last, what's going to help me get from where I want to, like where I am now, where I want to go. Is it going to slow me down, the clothing that I've got? And like little things like that, you can just ask yourself, which go a long way when you're making choices. common sense sort of thing. So, tip number 8, I've got some just general do's and don'ts. Like, do think about stuff that you are going to need. One example is the waterproofing your stuff. Those bags that you can vacuum and it will just squeeze it, compact it really nice and tight. That is a really valuable item. And I don't think I need to tell you how dreadful it would be. You go out and your clothes get wet because you didn't waterproof your clothing. Like another thing, bring things like slippers or flip flops. Something cheap, but you can wear that is waterproof. That can like keep your feet away from sort of diseases that you might find if you do use public places that you see like campsites using. You don't want athlete's foot at the end of the day. It's just nice to have that protection. And if you're someone who's going out rough, wild camping, and you're keeping yourself clean just every day, just by using whatever water source that you find available close to you, but you do find yourself having to change things like your socks and a full body wash quickly if you're next to a lake. And having slippers is a great quality of life. You're not putting your feet on the floor, getting your feet muddy, and trying to clean your feet at the same time, which is terrible experience, by the way. Okay, so there's that, and yeah, that was it. The hat. Obviously, it wasn't that important if I couldn't even remember it, but these items that I'm just mentioning right now, they're not really sort of items you see commonly explained as a guide to take with you on a camping trip. If you're someone who's looking at a tutorial, using a straw hat is actually really helpful if you're going out in the sun for hours on end. It will save you using sun cream, so you will save a whole bunch of money buying any sort of sun cream. And it's like such a cheap thing to buy a straw hat, and very easy to pack away, very light, great item to use if you don't consider it and you've just got your basics of what you need to bring. There's a general idea of like the fire kit, clean kit, water kit, your clothing kit, all these general things you're trying to think of. And the don'ts, let's get into the don'ts of camping. Please don't bring a mallet. Be mindful what you can use in your environment. You don't even need Tempex. You can use sticks and stones, like just nearby rocks, to use as a mallet. There's so much you can create just through the sake of what you've got in your environment and throwing it together like Lego. You'd be quite shocked to see what you can achieve, But we've got all these fancy things today. You've got all these people trying to get a quick sale and trick you into thinking you're buying some brilliant product, but it ends up breaking in 5 minutes because it's made of cheap stuff. And so that's the don'ts. And my last tip here is build your own kit. And I don't mean from scratch, but I'm going to show you what I mean. Like, you can add things, certain attachments to cheap equipment, and it can basically essentially make something that is just as good as something that you would otherwise buy that's expensive. So this is my rucksack here, and I'm going to show you like these little things that I've managed to just shove on there, and little things. This is a small little knife, but I've drilled a hole through there. And this is a glow in the dark little thing you'd otherwise put in the sips. And if I lose it and drop it in the middle of the night, I can see it. Little things like this. I'm trying to teach the principle behind this. Like, attach things to your rucksack, and things that, like here, I've got the whole tent that I'm going to be using on top of the rucksack, because I've put these little paracords onto the top, and this down on the side here, this is all attached as well. like there was no way to attach my roll mat onto my rucksack, right? So what I've done, I designed this thing where it's a straw, it's a plastic straw, so it doesn't tear the actual fabric when I'm tightening it. The straw holds in place and prevents it. Hopefully, you can visualize what I'm trying to. But the whole point is, I'm just trying to like share that principle, attach things to your stuff, and it's like this was 37 quid. This rucksack, real cheap out of Sports and Soccer, and it's lasted me like 5 years, easy. No tears, still as good as no, I wouldn't say it's good and new, but you get what I mean. It's still going. Yeah, so that's it all for the tips that I got there. If I've got any more, I'll probably just update this video at some point, and that'll do it.